Hi, everyone. I'm Shalini, and I have this absolute pleasure of saying hi to all of you, actually, and then being a part of this beautiful panel here with beautiful people. And I'm really excited, and I'm hoping to share and learn and also hear from you and any questions you might have as we go through this panel. But I'm really excited that we are able to bring these amazing women with amazing stories from different companies from different parts of the world to come in here and share their stories. And all of you are joining us from different parts of the world too. So hello, everyone. And I'll tell you a little bit about what we are doing today. This is not a panel that you can ask a question and Google the response. This is a panel where we're going deep into each one of your stories. You don't know some of the questions I'm going to ask you, so be prepared for that. And I want to start with some really short introductions. And let me maybe start there. I'm Shalini. And if I had to describe myself in a word, I would use the word strong. Anybody who knows me is going to think the strength comes from maybe lifting weights or being really strong. But actually, I've realized more recently, strength comes from vulnerability. And I'm associating strength to vulnerability today. So if I asked each one of you to tell us your name and say that one word that describes you and why, maybe we'll do that quickly. We'll start with you.
Thank you, Shalini. Hello, everybody. This is Soumya here and working with Walmart currently. The one word which describes me is dynamic. This is because I love challenges and taking risks. I'm sure you have some good questions for me.
I love it. Yes, we're going to have lots of questions on challenges and risks. Thank you, Soumya, for being here.
Hi, everybody. This is Leena Nair. I work for Wells Fargo. The one word that I would describe myself with is adaptability. I think that's allowed me to do all of the different things in my career, switch gears, switch pace, and switch domains as well. So, yeah, adaptable.
So lots of questions coming your way then.
Bring it on, Shalini.
Lovely. Hi, everyone. I'm Savita Singh. I work for Shell. And the one word that comes to mind would be fearless. I have stood up to quite a few bullies in my life.
Oh, I know some of those bullies you're thinking about right now. Savita and I have worked together before, so, I know the stories. But thank you for saying that out loud.
Hi, everyone. I'm Farzana, and I'm part of Maersk. One word I would use, Shalini, is fun-loving. Nice. That helps me stay focused, and I enjoy the work as well.
Yes, it's so important to enjoy what you're doing. Okay, the word fun, Farzana, makes me want to think about maybe a segment we're going to have now that starts with some fun. Have you ever played Never Have I Ever?
Not in a corporate setup.
Not in a corporate setup, yeah. And we're not going to have alcohol. I'm really sorry. But we have something interesting. We have these placards that has never, and I have written on it. You'll find it beside you for your questions. For now, let's keep it down. I'll ask a question, and I don't want you to think. I want you to respond honestly, and I might have a follow-up question if you say something and I don't believe it. Okay, let's start with the first one. Never have I ever used ChatGPT to ask it to do something that's super basic for my job. Oh, we are a very honest panel. That's really nice. Yes. I think, I have a theory about it. I'm actually making ChatGPT better. That's why I'm asking the question. It's not about I don't know my job.
I agree.
Yeah, obviously. Okay, great. Never have I ever swiped through social media during a very important meeting. I hope my boss isn't watching this.
Yeah.
I have. Yay.
You're going to get us in trouble.
Yeah. Yes. Next time you hold your phone, somebody's going to think you're actually watching social media. So let's be careful about that. Okay. Never have I ever pretended to understand a technical concept during a meeting. Oh, that. Okay, I love it. I love how honest we are here. Yes, and sometimes
Just fake it.
we have to do.
Yeah, fake it till you make it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Never have I ever binge watched an entire series at one go.
Oh, this has been some weekends.
Okay, any favorites?
Friends.
Friends. Yes.
Anytime.
Anytime, friends. Yes. Great. Okay, never have I ever laughed at a joke I didn't understand during a meeting. You've all worked with me. Hope it wasn't my joke because I feel like I crack a lot of them. Okay, never have I ever called in sick just to avoid a bad meeting.
I don't think.
No.
Okay, tell us, Lena, what would you do if you have a bad meeting?
Have a bad meeting, try to prep for it as much as I can.
Okay.
Find my allies who will support me in that conversation.
Nice. Yes. Find your allies. I think that's important. What about you, Sumit?
I think showing up is important for me,
Nice.
no matter what.
Yeah.
And if it's bad, it's bad.
Yeah.
To recoup the next time. So
Yeah. Okay. Never have I ever felt overwhelmed trying to balance work and personal life.
That's every day. Shut up.
That's it. Yes. What's the one word trick?
Is there a trick? I don't know. I haven't found that answer yet, but
Yeah.
you try every day.
Yes. And that's what it is, showing up every day for what we have. Okay. Never have I ever accidentally sent a message to a client that was meant for a coworker.
No.
You have?
Yeah.
What have you done?
I accidentally sent the mail of the client to my ex-husband. Then.
To your ex-husband? Oh my God! Did it help the relationship or no? Yeah, I think we've all done that. I remember I actually sent a message to my boyfriend's mother that I was supposed to send to my boyfriend, bitching about the mother, which made me realize you never bitch. You actually just be honest. But you learn the hard way every time, right? Never have I ever felt like I have to give it up all and move to the mountains.
That's every other day.
Oh, really?
It's only you.
Only me. Yeah. I feel like I feel like we can never escape our own mind. And irrespective of if I'm sitting on a beach or sitting in a mountain, if I'm carrying all of this with me, then mountain or in an office boardroom, it's all the same. And I feel like as women we do that a lot. And maybe we talk about that during the panel, right? I think it's important we do that. Okay, let's do a last one and then we can go to the next segment. Never have I ever felt like I could not share my truest opinion.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes. Soumya.
I think it's how you share it for me, more than the opinion is true always.
Yeah.
It's more about whether and how you share it.
Yeah.
I think that's something which has worked well with
Yeah.
me.
So even if it's a true opinion and if it's going to be uncomfortable, then you figure out a way to share.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Maybe it's delayed, but then I do share that.
Yeah. Great. Okay. So I think we've learned a little bit more about each other also in this panel. We're meeting for the first time, but also about ourselves. I think that's important. So maybe we start with some questions, and then I'll also know when you ask us questions, and I'll pick up some of those things. But maybe we start with the life cycle of a career woman, if you think about it, right? Everything starts with applying for a job. And there is enough research that says that when women look at a job ad, unless they're 100% sure that they fit into it, they don't actually apply for this job. And I'm not going to say men do it all the time, but there is enough research that says that even if 60-70% they feel like it fits, men apply for this job. Lena, I want to start with you. Do you first believe in this research? And if you do, how have you dealt with it in your own life?
The short answer to that is no, I don't. I don't want to endorse that narrative.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I think when that report first was put out there in the world, it was an internal report by a tech firm, if I remember right. And it attributed that to women not having enough confidence in themselves. Right. And then we keep replaying that over and over again.
Yeah.
It becomes a woman's problem then to solve. Oh, you don't have confidence. That's why you're not getting that job. That's why there are not enough women in the workforce. Right. Interestingly, HBR then did a similar research because they didn't buy into that narrative either.
Yeah.
And there was this very interesting research that was then done later. They reviewed they interviewed both men and women. And there it came out that almost 40% of men and women actually both don't apply to a job, but not due to a lack of confidence.
Yeah.
It's more because they play by the rules. They say, okay, that company has made its rules very clear.
Yeah.
They are asking for 10. They're not saying it's okay if it's 6 out of 10 or 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's not what the company is saying. The company has made it very clear who they want to hire and what skills they're looking for. So if I'm a rule follower, then I'm not wasting my time or their time.
And you could be a man who follows the rule and then still not apply.
Absolutely. So I feel like by saying that, if you say that often enough, then you move the problem away from being a lack of confidence in women to then really trying to help them understand the hiring process, the recruitment process, and how to bridge that gap.
I love that. And you're also talking about companies and hiring managers taking accountability to talk about what is really needed in a job and what is English language on a job description.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think we should, I like that. What's our one advice? If a woman sees a job description and she thinks, do I fit? What do you want her to think about?
I think look at it from the perspective of, do I want to do that job?
Nice.
If that follows, if that aligns to my passion and my true north,
Yes.
then why not?
I love that. And never assume. If you are in doubt, ask the questions. Right? You know the recruiter, you know how to ask the questions. Let's go ask the questions. Savita, you have played the role of an interviewer many times. So I'm going to play devil's advocate. I promised controversy. I'm going to give you a controversy. You've been in interviews where women have applied for jobs. You're in technology, so which means you have lesser and lesser women applying for jobs. Have you ever been in an interview and had a woman candidate and you said, I have a feeling she won't be able to do the job, so let me hire the man who's applied for a job?
I have not had that situation play out too many times. But I think I want to answer it in two parts. One, the point that you make about the HBR study is very, very important in many, what you said, not assume. So I have had number of situations where I had to calibrate.
Right.
That where I've seen the women candidate downplay themselves and exactly to the point you make, trying to fit themselves against the 10-point checklist that's out there.
Yeah.
And helping them focus on, do you bring the right attitude and do you have the main core skills, and rest of it can be learned. So I've had number of conversations around that with the women candidates. I think there was one instance where I did have I had that play out where I thought that the women candidate probably is not cut out for it. And I think it was stemming from more of, again, less of prep.
Yes.
I think what happens is as you move to middle level through senior levels, the skill set is more around your softer skills.
Yeah.
And I think I had this candidate really reeling into the hard skills. Yeah. I wasn't seeing the soft skills come through. Yeah. And given the complexity of the landscape of the stakeholders and the complexity of the job, that was one situation where I thought that she was underprepared. Yeah. But that situation didn't play out too many times.
Yeah. You're a responsible hiring manager. Let's do yes or no before we go to the next segment. Is there unconscious bias? Soumya, yes or no?
I think there is.
Yes. Leena?
There is.
Absolutely.
Yes. That is. Yes. So that's the fact, right? There is unconscious bias. We can never assume that bias doesn't exist. But what is important for us to do is to, as ourselves, understand what our biases are, right? And figure out what it is and where it's coming from, and have this, multiple viewpoints that comes up. And if you're a candidate preparing for an interview, go prepared, ask the right questions. Don't be apologetic about anything that's happened in your life, because you're coming there to show how great you are and if you fit into the job, right? That's the part of this that I'm thinking, that's important. But let's go into one of the questions we get the most of, career breaks. Right. And we've had many situations where while applying for a job, people wonder if I'll get a job because I've taken a break. While in a job, you worry about taking a break, even if you want to take a break. And I know of some of you at least have looked at your personal life and figured out how to take a break. Maybe Leena, I'll start with you. You have your daughter, Shreya.
Yes.
And how old is she now?
But she's working.
Oh, wow. Oh, really? Nice. Okay. So, but you chose to take a break to when you had her, as well as to support her upbringing. And then I want to know, what's that one thing that helped you make that decision? But also adding to it, at any point after you came back, did you feel like you were left behind?
Yeah. That's an interesting question. By the way, Shreya's probably logged into this.
Hi,
event as
Shreya.
well. So, hi, Shreya. I think the one thing that triggered that decision was, she'll find this funny. There was a day when I went home from work. So I had a nanny. When I came back from maternity leave, I built my ecosystem around. Right. I lived, at walking distance from the office, etc. And there was this one day, she was about 2 years old. I came home from work and the nanny was leaving and my daughter started crying. And I think that was the day that, something triggered inside my
So she was
mind.
crying because the nanny was
leaving. So, and in the morning when I went to work, she was like, bye, mama. But I think that was the day that I made the decision mentally. And then it, of course, you have to muster up the courage as well to than actually go there and, have that conversation with your manager. But I always knew that I was going to do this only for a period of time.
Yeah.
So I decided to give myself 2 years of being full-time mom, the 2 best years of my life.
Yeah.
But I had an end date to that break.
Right.
And that made sense to me because at that point of time, I was able to ease my way back into the workforce because I had always told myself that I would come.
Right.
I think what helped was that it was my decision. It was not forced on me.
Yes.
It was not circumstantial. That's the word.
Yeah.
It was something that I joyfully wanted to do.
Yeah. And I think what I'm hearing you say is, one, you had an ecosystem that supported you because you had a nanny. It's a conscious decision that you made. And you knew at the end of the 2 years you were going to go back. So you also had a North Star, a vision. Did you feel like you were left behind when you came back?
Yes, I think that feeling kind of then stays with you for a number of years after that until you come back into your own. Because you look around you, whether it's your cousins who are of your age, your friends and classmates who all had similar ambitions and they moved on. But what helped was I went back into familiar territory. So I was in the hospitality industry. When I came back from my break, I went back into the same space to get familiar.
Yeah.
And then I switched gears.
That's really good advice. And maybe, I've heard stories where sometimes you come back and you want to come back with a bang. So you try to change everything, right? You change companies, you change friends, you change the roles, and then suddenly there's too much change. So how do you ease yourself back in and be comfortable and acknowledge that things will be different? But I also know, maybe, thank you, Lina and Savita, you've had kids too, right?
2 kids.
And 2 kids, yes. Even if you took a 3-month or a 6-month break, things move so much now, more so in the tech industry. Every day there's something new coming. And I've had this feeling sometimes that you take a break or even go on maternity and come back, and suddenly the normalcy that you knew has changed, right? It's not the same anymore. And sometimes you feel like your peers who are exactly like you, men maybe, have moved on and gotten promoted. Have you ever felt like it was unfair coming back from a break and felt like the world had moved on?
It does. It does. I think as it is, when you're coming back from a break, you're nervous.
Yeah.
You're anxious, right? So, and all of these sort of plays into it. You self-doubt yourself. The self-doubt increases at that point in time. I think, so I wouldn't say that I wasn't anxious, but I think it's about sort of acknowledging it and then understanding what can you do about it. And sometimes it's important to sort of introspect and say, what am I really good at?
Right.
What has got me to this point, right? And relying on the strength and saying, how can I build upon that strength? Oftentimes we can drown ourselves in the noise of what everybody around you is telling or what everybody around you is doing. Whereas actually, if you look at, there are few core strengths that we all carry, which takes us through.
Right.
So I think I've sort of gone through my cycle, but then gone back and saying, okay, what am I really good at?
Yeah.
And how do I leverage the strength that I have to the situation or the assignment that I have on hand? And I think in doing that, I've been able to drown away the noise, focus, and then and that has helped me sort of come back with my full energy and full impact.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I like that. And maybe if you sum up this section, it's okay to take breaks, right? And it's not about taking breaks to have kids, right? I want to take a break and go off and meditate.
I did.
Not in Himalayas, it's too cold. And maybe like in a warm, exotic place somewhere. And maybe take 6 months and not feel guilty about it when I come back, but also acknowledge that, yes, the world would have moved. Yes, people would have gotten promoted. And if you fall victim to it, then we have a problem, right? As long as we can accept that it's going to happen and then figure out your own strengths and come back to it. I know, Soumya and Farzana, you have some stories. So I'm going to come to you now and talk about something that Lina said and building on that, the ecosystem. Right. And as women, sometimes, at least I have sometimes struggled with it. And I'll tell you one of the things, I'm a coach now, but the first time somebody ever said, Farzana, maybe I'll ask you this question. First time somebody ever said, Shalini, let's get you a coach. My first thought was, oh my God, what did I do wrong? Right. And why do I need a coach? Why can't I am I not perfect already? I think I am. Well, my bosses did. But Farzana, what do you think? What do you think about coaching, mentoring, sponsorship?
Yeah, absolutely, Shalini. I think you said it right. So first time, a year and a half back, when I was asked to have a coach, I had the same questions. Right? What is wrong with me? I'm all sorted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why do I have to get a coach?
Exactly.
So my first few meetings, and Maersk has this amazing program of mentoring. The first few meetings, I appeared to be sorted. I
Yeah.
wouldn't let my guard down. But over the few meetings, I realized that this is an investment the leaders are making in me. And unless I am coachable,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to
like
get
that.
the best of it.
Yes.
So that has immensely helped me to be, and each coach has their own experiences. So I get to learn and look at the perspectives they have seen through the same situations. So this has been a good transformation for me, Shalini, and you are also been in that one of my coaches.
Yeah.
So this journey has been amazing for me in the terms of I have learned and unlearned so much in this process about myself.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like that. And I like what Farzana said. And if you're thinking about it, do you have a coach? Do you need to get a coach? I think the word is coachable, right? If we allow ourselves to say, I need some help, and it's not because there's something lacking, it's only because you want to become the best version of yourself, I really feel like the world opens up, right? And I'm sure all of you have had that. And maybe I'll ask you, Soumya, you said something really interesting, and I want to go back to that, right? Motherhood as a coaching situation, right? And you told me once that your kids have been your like feedback givers, and you've taken that really seriously, and it's made you who you are today. Tell us a little bit about how you use motherhood as a ecosystem or a coaching.
Yeah, I do have one son, but I'm sure he'll be figuring out how to watch this because he's just 11 years old.
Yeah.
But he is more the Gen Alpha, if you can call that, right? And I'm from that OG 90s, if I were to call that. So for me, motherhood specifically, and everybody have our own bit of struggles as part of being a mother. I feel children are like lenses.
Yeah.
And motherhood is like a mirror which helps you understand yourself a lot better.
Yeah.
And you just have to be open to it, right? I can probably narrate an instance or incident which happened during pandemic when the world shut down and we all had to get into different ways of working, new lifestyle, staying back at home, attending your work schedule at home, and him attending classes at home. He was pretty small then. So the excitement, he would come to me after every class, knocking at my door, saying, what happened, Mama, today? There's a team's background. I can choose my own background.
Oh, wow.
I can do all of this fancy things. I would just nod and dismiss him, right? And all of a sudden, he stopped doing this. About 3 to 4 days, and he stopped doing it. When I sat down and spoke to him, what really happened? You stopped knocking at my door now. He said, anyways, nobody listens to me. Right. So I think that was a moment I was taken aback. And then I had to sit down and help him understand how my work schedule is.
Yeah.
Because he was never privy to that. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, because I used to go off to work, come back late in the evening.
Yeah.
So that made me realize that communication and prioritization is very important.
Wow.
Especially in the virtual world, things get assumed. We tend to assume a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's always good to put out there in terms of, okay, this is what I'm thinking. These are the things I'm looking into. And that is one of the instances. I have many of those.
Yeah.
But I truly feel the more you're open, not just coaching is not just about at work.
Yeah.
It's part of your life.
Yeah. And it can come from anybody, including an 11-year-old child.
Absolutely.
I love that. But you also said something about the ecosystem earlier also, and I'm going to switch gears a little bit and come to that. I've had a recent health situation, and I honestly thought I needed to show up for myself. And I thought, the strength comes from that. And I've then realized that asking for help is so important. And that is what strength is. Lena, maybe I'll ask you, have you ever struggled to say, I need help, come help me?
Yes, I have. But I've also learned that it truly helps to ask for help.
Yes.
Right. So whether it is help at home, and it does take a village to raise a child in today's world, right? So whether it's, asking for help from the family to get things sorted at home, or asking for help at work, because I think I figured out that I don't know everything that is needed to do my job effectively. So there are people who've maybe done that journey before, and there are people that you can learn from. It doesn't matter whether they have more experience than you or they've just joined the workforce.
Yeah.
Someone is willing to teach if you're willing to learn.
Yeah. What's that one advice do you have for women who are wondering right now, saying, if I ask for help, would they think I'm weak? Would they use it as feedback for me? What do you want them to think about? Or anybody else who has advice for that?
I think it's important to build that trust. Like I've said before, find your allies, right? And allies can be everywhere. Doesn't have to be in your company alone. You will find allies when you look for them. It could be an ex-boss. It could be your current manager. It could be a colleague. It could be someone in a completely different team who's willing to share their knowledge with you. So I think it's just about having the courage to ask.
Yeah. And I also think it's also associations with words. When I feel like I need to say I need help, I feel like I've associated help to weakness. If I said, hey, do you know how to do this? And then just show me. And then it changes. But I think we're all human beings with psychological association and conditioning. And I'm going to trick my mind for a bit until I become comfortable. And it's changed a lot and it's helped me. Maybe something that you could.
And sometimes I feel it's also a give and take, right? So if you're willing to share your knowledge with others, then it becomes an acceptable practice.
Yeah. And we're also working in environments where I don't think it goes against you if you said it. Right?
Sorry. Yeah. I think the world has evolved quite a bit.
Yeah.
We have ChatGPT.
Exactly. Oh, I like that. And nobody will know that.
I have my own ChatGPT version I've created. I keep asking a lot of questions. Whenever I have ever questions.
Yeah.
I think the world has evolved.
Yeah. I like it. Start somewhere comfortable. Maybe ChatGPT, maybe, and then you can go further. Right?
One point I want to add, Shelly. One is, okay, we asking for help. Sometimes the ecosystem knows that you need help and they offer it. It's important also to acknowledge
Love it. Yes. And also being open to it, because the ecosystem will never offer you help if you're closed. But then to know when it's being offered and then to be gracious about accepting it. I love it.
And I think in there, not feeling like a victim.
Yes.
It's very easy to fall into that pit. I've been on those milestones a few times myself.
Yeah.
And when I look back, the one thing that I would change is not feel like a victim.
Yeah.
So to your point.
Yeah.
When the universe is offering help.
Yeah. Take it. Give me
because
more.
Because you're coachable.
Exactly. And, and we're saying all of this just so you know, if you think that we're sitting here, we've been leaders for a long time and we've arrived, we've not. We've gone through all of these. We continue to go through all of this. I had something yesterday that I struggled with. So know that it is possible, but there are other people going through it. So, focus on that. Let's switch gears a little bit. Savita, I'm coming to you.
Okay.
You're a leader in the tech space.
Okay.
And there is this belief, which I think we're breaking right now, that it's a man's world out there, right? Lots of men in the technology industry. We want to break it and we're breaking it already.
Yeah.
But let me ask the question that sometimes I've heard, that you have to act like a man to fit in. I don't know what that means, to act like a man. I have amazing male colleagues and friends who are amazing, and I would love to act like them. But what comes to your mind when I say that?
So I think tech is an interesting space because, yes, when I started working, for many, many years, I used to be the only woman around the table. But that changed. That changed also very quickly in the last 10, 15 years. You are seeing increased representation of men. So I think with that changes, a lot of times, initially when I started working, it was like trying to subtly, unconscious biases come in and you start to imitate the behaviors that you see.
Yeah.
Right? Staying strong is one of them. Not asking for help is another one of them. But I think as I started to see more and more women coming in, that started to change. In the last 10 years, 15 years, if I look at it, they're much more open to seeking help. I think when it comes to the tech part of it, because tech changes so quickly, you can fall into the trap that you have to know it all.
Yeah.
Right? And this is where, there are a couple of strategies that I've used and, they've worked out pretty effectively for me. One is you don't have to know it all. You need to know a few people who you can reach out to and they can help you understand, what this tech is all about.
Yeah.
Because in the fancy Ruby on Rails, Python, this, that, there is a core business problem that is being solved. So if you can stay true to the business problems and and educate yourself, ChatGPT and many other ways, to just know enough to be able to connect the tech with the business, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I think some of those strategies sort of help you keep up, but not really fall into the trap of wanting to be an expert in every new cool tech that's coming in. Yesterday was Python, today it's ML and AI, and it's a never-ending story there.
So they came up with really cool names, Ruby on Rails. I wonder who's creative brain that
I'm
is.
carbon dating myself by telling you all that.
But like the idea of fitting in, do you think you made an effort to fit in? Yes or no?
Oh, I don't think each of us are unique. And I think I can do much better than that, right?
Yeah.
If I were to, as Savita mentioned, I think it's more about what problem are we trying to solve?
Yes.
And then trying to see where you need to equip yourself.
Yeah.
It could be knowledge, it could be resources, it could be different ways of solving the problem. And put your prototype out there.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody in the organization would want to hear out or listen out to those ideas or innovative solutions in terms of how you could solve that.
And you have a unique idea. It doesn't have to be better or worse than somebody else there, but it's unique to you. Have you tried to fit in?
Sometimes I've tried to fit
Yeah.
in, Shalini.
Yeah.
But what I've realized is when you try to fit in, you're not being your genuine self,
Yes.
right? You
Yes.
try to become somebody else.
Yes.
So that doesn't really work.
Yeah. And it's never sustainable.
Never, yeah,
right?
it's never
Yeah.
sustainable.
Lina?
Try to fit in? No. Culturally, yes,
Yes.
but not otherwise, not in terms, because I feel like there is that difference, different perspective and the different emotion, whether it's EQ that you bring to the table or just a different way of looking at a problem.
Yeah.
If that's what I bring to the table, then that's what I am. So,
Yeah.
I'm not going to change.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this question. I have sometimes made an effort to fit in when I didn't know enough. So then I wanted to copy. But every time I've tried to fit in and not be myself, and then the learning I've had is there are some things I'm good at and I will show that. There are some things I don't know and I'll be honest about it, right? And then learn from that environment. But yeah, it's important to be authentic, I guess.
Yeah.
At our own selves.
I think early on, I would try more to fit in.
Yeah.
I think, and I think it's a journey of knowing yourself. You know, I feel like as a woman, if I have to tell something to my younger self, I would say, take a little more time for yourself.
Yes.
You know, take some time to introspect because we are in the business of busyness.
Yeah.
You know, that you put yourself last. And I've seen a change in myself as I've become more self-aware and started to know myself. The fitting in problem has gone away, and you've been just who you are. And being authentic doesn't require an effort. You just flow.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit of that maturity of life and life phases that you have to go through to get to that.
Yeah. I like that. Okay, we'll do a few questions that we've heard even before about balance. Right? There is enough research that says, one, that after COVID, lots of women didn't come back to work because it got imbalanced with so many changes and suddenly you don't know how to go back to being normal. But there's also enough research that says that post-motherhood, that women have chosen to pick one over the other. It's not right or wrong, but we've chosen some of these decisions, right? So we'll do one quick question for each of you based on the life stages you're in and what's happening in your lives. And I'll start with you, Prasanna. I'm going through this. I have parents I'm a single child. All my life, my parents have been super independent and they take their own decisions. Suddenly, in the last 5 years, I feel like the tables have turned. They look at me for decisions. They're like, I'm actually doing a lot of these things for them, which means I need to show up for them a lot more than I have before. And I know you're going through the same thing. What advice do you have? How are you managing to keep the balance?
I'm in a similar situation, Shalini. I'm a single child too. So recently, a few years back, my mom was diagnosed with a serious medical condition.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was in that transition phase of my mid to, matured career phase.
Yeah.
So one thing is, like you rightly said, the tables have turned and I need to be there for them and make decisions which could, impact their livelihood.
Yes.
Yeah. So that way, I think it's important to ask for help, like we all spoke about. The second is accept the help that comes in. A lot of my friends and families said that, okay, this is what you're going through. This is where I'll take care of your child and all of that. It's important to acknowledge and accept that help.
Yeah.
So that is that during that phase. And post that also, one thing I make sure is I always have some time that I spend with my mom every day.
Yeah.
Basis. Have reminders for her medical checkups, her insurance and all of that. And be there for her decision making as well.
Yeah. That's nice.
Giving that structure.
Yeah. And you're not saying this one or this one.
Correct.
You're saying, how do you blend the two together? And it's like coexistence. I love that. I don't have kids. I have lots of hobbies, like lots. Every day I'm a hobby collector. But Soumya, I know you have lots of hobbies too. How do you, and sometimes I've been made to feel guilty about them because they look at me and say, you don't have kids, so you could do this. And I'm like, why? I have hobbies. Yeah. Right? Why is it always that you have to have these known few things that distracts you? Why not the rest of the lives that we have? But you have hobbies. How have you balanced that?
I think hobbies are very important, not just because you enjoy them, but more because they give you a different perspective.
Yes.
Right? Even while you're struggling with solving a problem, I feel that's my go-to.
Yeah.
And that's where I invest time in my hobbies. Right? Yes, they do in terms of whether they come in your daily challenges in terms of managing life versus family versus work.
Yeah.
They do. I think two things which worked out very well for me is one, as all of us continuously mentioned about it, asking for help.
Yeah.
Ensuring you have that ecosystem support system who can probably help you, and planning ahead.
Yeah.
Right. In terms of planning ahead, giving them a sense of routine that every morning I'm hitting the gym between 5 and 7:30,
Exactly.
or weekends I'm swimming between these times.
Yeah.
So I think helping them understand what is your routine is also very important, so that they can live their own lives too.
Yeah.
That's very important. And there are times when it still doesn't go well.
Yeah.
I think what has worked during those times is blast some loud music and keep dancing.
Exactly.
And you feel the world is still a good place.
Yes. And find the balance. And I really think, Soumya, one of the things that you said is sometimes we try to hide that side of life, right? And we feel like we're here for 8 hours. You see me for 8 hours. Everything I do outside is not, but it blends in, right? And I do that on my calendar, like you said, like there is a slot for workout, there's a slot for meditation or whatever it is that I'm doing at that time, because it's important to acknowledge. It's important for me to hold myself accountable. So I put it on the calendar and I want the rest of the world to know that I'm focusing on it. And I think that's important. Savita, I'll come to you. You and I have worked together for many, many times. And I remember very, very stuck. We had, I think it was Black Friday. There was a lot of sales going on. You had a lot of pressure from work. And I'm sitting in front of you. You get one call from your son asking you for something. And then you get a call from your mother. And then you get a call from your mother-in-law. All in the span of like 15 or 20 minutes.
Black Friday.
Yeah. In all ways, Black Friday. So what was happening and what is your advice and how did you manage all of this?
I think it's really the balance between, seeing what is more important at that point in time, right? So there have been many, many, many moments where work has taken a priority. Yeah. And I think those years were like that, where, you've got a Black Friday, you've got working for a retailer, that's your bread and butter. And that was the most important piece. And I would camp in the headquarters for, a number of weeks to be able to dedicate the focus and time to it. I think when some of these calls come, sometimes you take them, sometimes as the kids have grown up, I've told them, I'm in a meeting, can you text? Or my kids have now understood and said, that too. Kids have their own sort of little tricks and tips how to get yes from parents. I think as they've grown up, they recognize that if I'm not taking a call, I'm in a meeting. So, but that's harder to do when the kids are small because they don't understand that. So I think it's really being aware of at that moment what is more important and being okay with that. Yeah. And I think in all of this is that the central message that we are hearing from everybody is having a sit-down conversation, seeking help, and letting people know what your life looks like, right? Your near dear ones, your family, your mother, your mother-in-law, your kids, letting them know that this is what it looks like. I have worked for, American companies and European companies all my life. And that means evenings, I don't have a control. Yeah. And that's something that I've been very upfront with my kids, with my family, saying, you would not see me in the evening time, but, maybe my mornings are a little leisurely. Yeah. So I think it's about enlisting the help and expressing and sharing without feeling guilty that this is your life. This is how it looks like, just like your kid's life looks like or your husband's life looks like, and not sort of putting yourself last. Because oftentimes we assume that we have to hold it all together and we don't enlist enough help. And I've got grown-up kids now. Yeah. they are the ones that step in sometimes a lot more than I do, you know. So it's really down to having a plan, enlisting support, and not being apologetic about it,
And not putting yourself last.
not putting
You know,
yourself the last.
I want you all of you, to do an exercise with me. If I asked you top 3 favorite people in your life, and you already have the names now, right? You're thinking about it. 3 people. If your name wasn't on it, there is a problem. And first time I did this exercise, and I love myself, wasn't there on it. I kept telling myself, oh, I love myself and I do all this, but it never comes up that naturally. And that's the thing. If it's not there, there are many things you can do to ensure that at least in the top 3, you're one of those people. But Leena, I'm going to come to you. So use the word guilty. You took a break, you come back to work, and then suddenly you feel like you have to show up at work when life is happening at home with Shreya. How did that feel?
Guilty.
Yeah.
Guilty, and then the fear of being judged as well.
Yes.
Right? Because you're also compared to moms who are showing up for all the events and things like that. And of course, the bond with your child is important too. But you, I think very much like how you were saying it, you figured out what works for you.
Yeah.
Right? Your journey and your life is very unique.
Yes.
There is no sense in comparing. And then the village that you build around you, that's unique to you as well. So you find the balance that makes the most sense to you. Try not to let comparisons take over your mind space. Yeah. And you find the successes, you celebrate the small wins.
Yes.
And share with the people that you care about.
Yeah. And I love it what you said, Lynn, also to acknowledge that you're feeling it. Sometimes we bury it. Sometimes we want to move on and not pause enough. But acknowledging it and then seeking help, I think, is important.
I think I want to add one more thing. I think oftentimes we think we're the only ones. Honestly, if you have a sit-down, honest conversation with men who are open to expressing themselves, you will find they go through that too.
Enough insecurities everywhere, right?
Exactly. So, you're not the only one. And in a sea where everybody is insecure, what's there to be insecure about?
Exactly. True. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. No panel with women on it goes away without using one word that I've heard all the time. You want to take a guess? It has something to do with glass ceiling. Glass ceiling.
Right? The decor.
Yeah, and the decor. This is really sugar. It's not glass ceiling because we work in an amazing company, which from us. But I really think, I don't want to ask the question, is it there or not? Right? But I want to ask something that is something that I want to have all of you respond to. This thought about my success never came to me when I hid under a rock and said, my work will speak for me. My success came to me when I knew how to sell myself. And I know all of you, some of you here, and all of you are cringing when I use the word sell myself. And I'm going to maybe ask all of you, some of you, what is your initial thought? What do you think? Do you have to sell yourself? Yes or no?
Selling, yes, I would say yes.
Okay. Leena?
Not a hard sell.
Not a hard sell.
Finding that balance.
Yeah. Savita?
I think for me, it's more about knowing your personal brand. So not so much selling, but do you know what your personal brand is?
Yeah.
I think that credibility that you build, right?
Yeah.
I think to an extent, balance and chal.
Balancer. Okay, then I'll ask some specific questions because I don't think I'm getting too much out of all of you. So, okay, what's that one moment or core belief that helped you grow, which made you believe that this glass ceiling, if it exists, does not stop you? Savita?
I think when I stopped comparing.
I like that. Yeah.
I think, inherently, I'm not a very competitive person. And I do best when I am focused on excelling in what I'm doing without worrying about what the world thinks. Yeah. And I think every time, I have had a low, what has brought me up is where I've said, what's my game? What am I good at? How can I bring that to whatever I'm doing?
Yeah.
And I think every single time that's helped me bounce back and soar higher.
Nice. I like it. Not to compare because there's no scarcity. The comparison comes from scarcity, that I don't have something that he has or she has. I like that. Yeah. Soumya, when you think about success, What's on your mind?
Success is a very, again, different for different people.
Yeah.
It's more about measuring the progress for me.
Yeah.
Right. In terms of, as Savita and Leena mentioned, is in terms of where you are today and where you want, what's your true north, where
Yeah.
you want to be. Right.
Yeah.
And as long as you're making that progress, as long as I think most people even fear getting there.
Yeah.
It's more about having those clear goals
Yeah.
of what you want to achieve
Yes.
and putting in the path to achieve that
Yeah.
in terms of small actions.
Yeah.
It could be drinking 4 liters of water every day. Have I even had half of it through the midpoint check, so to say, right?
We'll get you some water.
Yeah. So I think it's more about progress. It's more about because there is no comparison. The comparison is only with you.
Yeah.
It's each his own when it comes to their own journey. And I think the barriers or so-called glass ceiling, so to say,
Yeah.
it's all self-made.
Yes.
It's more about how the more sooner you realize it, that it's all about your journey, the faster then you can accelerate that journey.
Yes.
Right? I think that's where for me, it's helped. The more clearer I got with my goals, the more clearer I got with my action path, the more clearer I got in terms of what I would want to achieve. And it's so associated with my passion.
Yeah.
I think that's what success is for me.
Yeah, great. And I'm sure all of you also believe that it's a two-way street. There are things that the community, country, organizations, policies have to do to help women, help minority and the representation. But there's also an equal thing that we need to do to get there. And I'll tell you something that you said. I had a goal, like before 40, I need to be head of HR. And everything was so driven by this title, that this time frame, that every step I took, I forgot to enjoy it at that moment. And everything led to that goal. And the day I got that goal, I was like, yay, for 2 minutes. And then the goal changes and it keeps changing. And I don't think it's worked for me. The day I said, I have a goal of learning, I have a goal of helping other people, and I have a goal of something else, success came to me even better and faster. So I kind of feel like you have to figure out what is your own story. Farzana, if I asked you, success comes with failure, and it's always spoken in the same breath. How have you managed to use failure to succeed?
Yeah. Failure, like Soumya said, is also very different to each person.
Yeah.
How you say it, right?
Yeah.
So the way I look at it is failures happen. What is important is what you learn from those failures.
Yeah.
How we use that in your next journey or next iteration of the same work that you do. That's how I look at failure, Shami. And I also tell this to my teams, right? It's okay to fail. Fail fast and learn fast.
Leena, what's on your mind when you hear this?
The glass ceiling?
Glass
It's
ceiling.
shattered. You didn't hear?
Can we clean this up here? Yes.
We got that sledgehammer.
Yes.
Broke through it.
Exactly.
But jokes apart, I think I agree with you, Soumya. Some of it may be self-imposed. Some of it is just urban legend. You know, it's been around for so long that we all tend to believe it sometimes that it exists.
Yeah.
But surely there is enough progress being made where we can start to see the cracks.
Yeah.
And enough and more women are out there, making a name for themselves.
Yeah.
So success, I think, like I've said before, for each of us, it's unique. It may be pursuing the small goals, enjoying the small victories, and in some cases, getting to those big milestones that we set for ourselves.
Yeah.
But each of us, we should enjoy that journey.
Yes.
Like it's
Enjoy the note. But have you ever hidden in the last row of a boardroom and hoped that somebody would discover you and promote you?
Oh, I wish I was a movie star.
Yeah. Yes.
No, but there are meetings, of course, where, I'm vocal and I know my stuff and I'm talking about something that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
There are meetings where I'm quiet because I'm not the expert in the room.
Yes.
And it's okay to acknowledge that.
Yes.
Right. So those are the meetings where you sit in and you listen and you learn.
Okay, so we can go on and on. We have so many stories, but we also have lots of questions that we've received. So I'm going to take some questions and then keep sending it if you're interested in knowing more. Also know that if you have any specific questions, we'll also continue our chat online. So know that you will get to hear from us even after this. The buzzword is AI. So I'm going to come to Savita, you, and then maybe Soumya and Farzana. So we have a question from Mohammed who says, with ongoing advancement in AI technology, should we be concerned about the future where many jobs might be replaced by AI? Savita, what do you think?
Yeah, this narrative has been going viral, I would say.
Yeah.
I think I'll answer in two parts. So AI, yes, it is a milestone technology because this is what it represents is the ability of the machines to think like humans is for the first time is on comparative basis. So in that sense, it is a milestone. Would jobs be replaced? I think I would put it as with every new technology, there are certain jobs they go through, they transform. Right?
Yeah.
When automation happened, manufacturing, a lot of the manufacturing jobs, the way we knew it before changed. However, a whole set of new jobs came in.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the challenge is not so much about would the jobs go away. The challenge is the jobs will change. Am I up for it? Am I ready for the change? Right? And the second part of this is how do you stay ahead of the curve? Right? I think first and foremost, I would say is we're living in a lifetime of unparalleled rate of change.
Yeah.
Change has always been there, but it's the rate of change. Right? But with the rate of change, you've got unparalleled tools on hand.
Yes.
I mean, not only you've got Chat GPT, anything and everything that you want to understand at a 101 level or even a 201 level is available to us on free.
Yeah.
Right? So our ability to learn new concepts has been, is at a point where it was never earlier there. Right? So you have the tools there. And then comes, we have to be open to constantly learning.
Yeah.
Learning, unlearning. That's the life that we are living right now, and it's only going to increase. So I think if at all, the core skill that we need to develop, a muscle that we need to develop is adaptability. Learn, unlearn, not attach yourself too much, to a particular technology or, I'm a tester, I cannot be coding. I'm a coder, I cannot be doing BA's work. It's all getting rolled into one.
Yeah.
Right? So I think as long as you are open to learning, unlearning, we've got all the tools.
Yeah. So accept it's coming.
Accept it's absolutely coming.
Figure out what skills you can get and learn, and
Yes.
figure out the ecosystem that comes with it, and stop being a victim to AI. We're going to have amazing jobs that will come up because of this.
Absolutely.
So
Or human jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Or human jobs.
Yeah.
Humans are not going away anywhere.
Never.
And, AI is far behind that.
Yeah. And even if it's ahead, we will be ahead of it. It's fine. Yes, I'm not worried. Okay, so we'll ask some other questions just to keep it interesting. How did you navigate challenges or setbacks in your career path? Soumya, if I asked you, what's the one thing that helped you navigate when you had a setback? Because we've all had it, you've had it.
Yeah.
What helped you?
I think one thing is learning from it, right? Learning from setbacks is something which has really helped me in terms of not really, again, victimizing yourself during those situations.
Yeah.
It's more about taking that as an experience through the journey.
Yes.
We all know we all have to learn, unlearn every time. And in this world of, fast-moving technologies, the sooner you understand that, I think it's better. It's more about how do you learn from those setbacks and failures.
Yes.
That's something which is nicely pointed.
So, Shamila, thanks for the question. And the answer exactly like AI. Acknowledge that it will always be there because we learn the most from challenges, and then figure out how we can have the ecosystem and everything else support us. Great. Maybe we'll ask a leadership question. Tina, I'll come to you. Ayaba asks, can you talk about a rewarding or a fulfilling moment you've experienced in your leadership journey?
Of course, there have been quite a few, I have to say. But mostly, I think it's when you deliver something that impacts a large population of the organization, right? And I've been lucky to have been part of some of these projects with Wells Fargo, where you really feel the impact that you have made on not just your immediate team, but like the entire organization. And then you're like walking down the corridors, or you're in a meeting and someone that you don't know kind of walks up to you and says, thank you for doing that.
Yes.
That's an amazing feeling. So it's really the knowledge that you've made a difference to somebody's life, and they recognize you and they associate you with it. For me, I find that very, very fulfilling.
Yeah. And honestly, with what you're saying, irrespective of leader, is not a title. It's a mindset. And one can be leader in anything, right? So know that it's whatever you're doing, you're inspiring somebody. They might not be in front of you. You might not be trying to inspire them, but you're doing it.
Very
So I
true.
think that's important. There's a question here from Avinash Farzana, and I'm going to ask you because you spoke about coaching. Women and networking sometimes doesn't go hand in hand. How important is it? And how has it helped further the career?
Networking is very important. I mean, it's not associated with the gender, right? I've seen a lot of male colleagues also network, so that it's not associated with the gender. So the way I look at this, and I'm saying this because I had done a startup earlier, some time back. Look at every interaction, even if it's a water cooler interaction or any other interaction, as an opportunity.
Exactly.
You never know when that person is going to be helpful for you.
Yes. Yes. And I like what you said, because it's also sometimes we want to network because we want visibility. Oh my God. That word just, because
Makes it
it's a, if you believe that every interaction you have is going to take you to a goal, then we've lost it already, right? It's about ensuring that you're authentic, you're building enough ecosystem that helps you with your career. And then it's an added bonus when they do help you with your career, right? And that's important.
And you have to be willing to pay it forward as well.
Exactly.
Right? So
Exactly.
you then go out there, coach, mentor, support
Yes.
other people.
Yes.
And when you sort of break it down to its elements,
Yeah.
it's basically being fully present in that moment,
Yes.
right? Active listening, active contributing. It boils down to that, because with that you leave, you soar with your strengths. You give to that interaction, and you get from that interaction.
Yeah, I love that. We have only 4 minutes left. So we're going to do one question. And this is a really important comment that Joseph has made. What men can do, women can do even better when the opportunities are given to them, right? And now let's talk about one word or sentence you want to give to all the men who are allies to women succeeding, right? And Lena, I'll start with you. What's that one thing you want our male colleagues to do to further women being successful?
A few things, I think. One, don't assume. So ask how you can help, where you can help. And two, be willing to offer partnerships, demonstrate that both at home and at the workplace, because your children are watching.
Yes, great. Samya?
I think it's more about extending that support,
Yes.
or rather asking, not assuming. That is the most critical. Because I'm sure they have also figured out that it's not easy just for them to sail alone.
Yeah.
And it's all about the journey,
Yes.
be it at home, at work.
Yeah.
It's right. It's more about that.
Right. Prasanna?
Same. Don't assume and ask.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you getting the message, man? Ask the questions. Savita?
I think active listening.
Yeah.
Listen, understand, and that will take you far. You will, on a lot of counts, women don't think, feel, or aspire differently than men, but on a lot of counts, we do.
Yeah.
So I think as long as there is active listening, active communication, and empathy, answers will flow.
Yeah.
So I would say active listening.
Yeah. And at some point, it's not about the gender. It's about the diversity of thinking and a new thought that's coming to the table. And that's what you're doing. You don't have to do it because women are special. We know that. But do it because you're going to get an important point of view that's going to be important for that decision that we're making. But I can do this for 5 more hours, and we all can. And there's so many questions here, but we'll maybe go online later and then close those questions and share some ideas. And there's some really good questions on interviewing and how to be authentic in an interview and still not worry about the results, things like that. And I'm really, but I've had a mind-blowing learning session with all of you, and I hope all of you felt the same. I think there was so much rawness in what you shared, and it hasn't been easy to be your real self and then come here in front of an audience you don't see, but also be your true self. So thank you for everything you've done for your own career, because that's important. You stood up for yourself. You stood up for all of these people listening to us and each other here. And then you've shown how it can be done without being victims to the situation, but using the situation and the ecosystem to be here. So do you all want to say bye to our team listening to us? And any last word, one word you want them to walk away with? Samit?
I think women, we all can owe men. It's more about how we show each other, show up to each other and to the society.
Yes.
So I think that's what
So women support other women. I think that's also important.
I love the sisterhood. Thanks for having us.
Great.
It was fun. It is fun going through some real situations, real questions. And thank you, Shalini, for grilling us.
Of course. Always here. Lot more to come.
Yeah, it was wonderful learning from each of you. And Shalini, you always put us on the spot.
Yes.
So thanks for that.
That's my skill set. Putting people on the spot. Have you ever seen, like, I never am on the panel. I'm always asking the questions because I'm a coach, like true coach. But thank you for everybody who's listened to us and hopefully will listen to the recording. This wasn't scripted at all. This was us being real because I really believe there's strength in being real. So have a really, really great day, night, evening, wherever you're listening to us from. And thank you for being with us. And for any question you have which has not been answered, we're going to respond to you online. Thank you and have a great career because you're awesome.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.